So she was not going to let them get her present or her future because that was the only thing she had control over. And I find that so cool.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the revelatory convo I had with Tia Levings in our last episode. If you haven't listened to that one, you have missed the fuck out. It's so good.
It is a really...
I clearly can be... It's pretty clear, and you can tell when I loved an episode. I love this guest so fucking much. I don't want to scare her off because I want to be her best friend, but in a non-culty way, Tia. But you should listen to it, and you can listen to this one first and then listen to that one, but it's really great. We do get into politics, and you want to know what? I don't care. If you're mad at me for talking about how to save your right to be a human in this country, then I have no apologies, because it is near and dear to my heart that we protect people's rights. I have been to countries where you do not have rights, and you have no idea what that looks like and how scary that is.
Yeah.
And so, no.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty crazy. So yeah, we are going to get into that a little bit, but before we do...
We're not telling you how to vote, by the way. We're just telling you the facts that are laid out before you. What? Brad's smirking. You're not going to say anything?
No, we're going to get into it later.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, first, today is October 31st, 2024. It is Halloween. You are probably familiar with it, but there are some interesting history behind it. I'm sure there's some really good history.
Pagan, and then Catholics were like, we hate pagans, so
Somehow,
we're going to make
Tia,
we're going to make...
like, how did we get her recap on Halloween in the purity culture? And anyways, I swear to you, when I was like, team, I want this out before the election.
Yeah.
This is the only date. But we thought we'd share something actually really cool for you. And I hope this doesn't get you teepeed. Or is that what you call it when they throw toilet paper on your house?
Yeah. That's what they call it. That's what they
call it. I'm sure they call it something else now. I'm sure it's called like skibbity or something. We thought we'd share about a really fun alternative to giving candy to kids called Books for Treats. So today is Books for Treats Day. Books for Treats Day was born from the belief that books are a more valuable treat than candy on Halloween. Books are more beneficial to children than candies because they nourish the mind and equip the child to understand life better. Some naysayers tell Rebecca that she is stealing the fun of Halloween and ruining kids' Halloweens. Rebecca clearly created this day.
She created this day. I forgot to say that part.
Yeah. So we're going to get to her in a second.
We got it.
In fact, the contrary is true. Kids love books. Since they get to choose their book from the age-appropriate box, they're excited to have a treat that lasts more than a few seconds. I commonly hear, we made sure to come to the book lady's house. Rebecca Morgan is the author of 25 books, 2 of which have sold over 200,000 each. She wrote Oprah, 60 Minutes, NPR, USA Today, and international media. She's a speaker and management consultant and runs 3 businesses and this nonprofit. Learn more about Books for Treats at booksfortreats.org. We should just have her on the show. And also, I forget, but it's sometime in this month. It might have been last Friday. We're recording this in the past for the future. But it is like National Reading Day or something like that. And we actually, from a different Rebecca as a guest, started donating to the Little Readers Big Change organization to help get books into K through 12 schools that have low funding. And so I'm all about this. If you get TP'd, I'm sorry, but also like...
You won't.
Put some good
I mean,
books.
you'll get TP'd by like the 13-year-olds who are like, ew, books.
But you want to know something? You might, oh my God, that you might live in a state where some of those books have been not accessible at their school. And you could be that book lady. We're going to that book lady's house. We get the other books. Anyways, we just got back from Cambodia retreat.
We did. We just spent 10 days in Cambodia with the largest group we've ever taken. It was amazing. And
the retreat's only like 6 days, guys. We just were there for
we get there early so that we could prep everything and make sure everything is going to go smoothly. And then after that, we took a little breather. We actually went to Thailand. And we explored parts of Thailand that we'd never been to.
went to northern. I know someone's like, "Ooh, a beach," and I was like,
Nope.
opposite.
Jungle.
Like, lots of jungle, lots of really cool temples. Just so cool.
Yeah. If you want to see something that is mind-blowingly cool, go onto Google and search for Northern Thailand, the White Temple.
It looks like it should have a movie around it with magic.
They have a white temple, a black temple, blue temple, and I think there's a red temple too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it really is unbelievable. It's like this massive art piece. It's incredible.
Yeah, what I love.
Like jaw-droppingly cool.
It's
like
beautiful.
when I heard about it and I saw the photos, I was like,
I understand that
go.
we are talking about a temple on this episode, but it's a different kind of temple. And we, like you said, look at it for the art in it and the history of it. And it's mind-blowing.
Well, it was created by an artist.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So come to February's retreat. You won't see the white temple, black temple, or blue temple, but you will see the eighth wonder of the world.
You will see the eighth wonder of the world, which is another temple.
Yes.
It's actually the largest religious structure in the entire planet. How about that?
You want to know what's interesting, though, about Cambodia? Because when you come to Cambodia, you will learn about the temples and you'll see some were Hindu and then some were Buddhist and then some were Hindu and some were Buddhist.
Yep.
And now they just celebrate all of it. So they have a lot of fucking holidays.
Yeah, there's a lot of holidays.
But talk about just compromise. They didn't go, oh, you all have to be Buddhist now. They are a Buddhist, Hindu.
Well, they did that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
They did that. They did war back and forth and different kings would change different things. And
then they just combined it.
Yeah, it's kind of a mashup now.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to be...
go to crowsnestretreats.com to join us.
Yeah.
crowsnestretreats.com. Yeah. And then now that we're back...
We're really diving in. My team is making sure I stay on the fucking track with this last deck.
We are.
We are making sure that I do not go 2 months past schedule for the 5th time. I'm doing it already. Right now, at this moment, I should have already written 50 cards and 50 blogs.
Great.
That's the goal by the time this drops, maybe more. And there's 83 to go.
No
83
pressure.
total. So the accessories deck is going to have the 2x4, sandbag, toe corrector, foot corrector.
If you're wondering what an accessories deck is, this is Pilates flashcards.
Yeah.
We've been doing.
Yeah. Thanks for making it, specific.
Yeah. We got the 6th deck in the series, the accessories deck. So it's all the other things.
And here's the thing. I get so many questions about which reformer should I buy that could fit under a couch? You guys, there are so many pieces of Pilates apparatuses that don't take up much space and you can make it home. And I bet you can say all 3 of those because I just watched a whole reel about a guy talking about how platypus has 4 different plurals.
I'm pretty sure it's just apparatuses.
Doesn't that seem wrong?
The plural of the word apparatus can either be apparatus or apparatuses.
So it has 2. I think apparatus. Anyways.
I liked apparati though.
I know, apparati. It's like it's like cacti. At any rate, you guys, my goal is that more than half of this deck is hand-makeable.
Hand-makeable.
Yeah.
You mean
hand make it.
the equipment being used in the deck.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, he's just coming in here to translate what I'm saying. Guys, we were on vacation. And so I'm clearly already there at the time that we're recording this. Okay, Brad, do you have any accelerators left of this year?
Yes. Actually, if you are a fitness business owner and you are stuck with money, income, you keep hitting the same marks every year, you're not growing the way that you need to grow to be able to actually pay yourself the money that you want to make or put money aside because you want to retire one day, then you should come join me on this free webinar. It's called the Pilates Studio Growth Accelerator. And in there, Lesley and I have been coaching for years and years and years. And I'm going to be covering the 3 biggest secrets that we have learned, we have gleaned, we have come alongside these businesses to go through the trenches of how do we make adjustments with them, create that plan with them that they can go change their lives. And we're going to share those. I am going to share those 3 big secrets with you on this webinar. It is totally free. So you should absolutely join me.
Yeah.
Go to profit.biz/accelerator. That's profit without the O.biz/accelerator and sign up.
And finally, we are, as you can hear, clearly not staying in Vegas for very long.
Nope.
Because not only am I going to LA, but then we're going to come back. And a few days later, after Thanksgiving specifically, which my dad is now trying to get us to go camping on. So we got to figure that out.
We'll see.
He doesn't listen to the podcast, so we can talk about it there. But we are going on tour and you can buy tickets already. So I'm being totally stayed on these tour tickets. They are out now.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the tickets opened up in beginning of October. So, things have been cruising here, but we are coming to 23 different cities. We're going to be doing the South, I guess, Southern, Central. I don't know. We're going to take Route 40 across. So if you're anywhere near Route 40 when we hit Greensboro, North Carolina, we're going to go all the way up to Maine and then down to Miami and then back through Texas, hitting Phoenix all the way back home. So if any of that sounds anywhere remotely close to where you're going to be for the holidays or anytime in December, or if you live near there, come hang out with us.
It's so much fun.
It's a blast.
It's
amazing.
so much fun. Balance Body is sponsoring us again. We'll have
Yeah.
metrology equipment for you to try.
Yeah.
There's prizes, lots of prizes.
Yeah. Tons of prizes.
So it's going to be really, really grand.
Lots of swag. Plus, if you're a teacher, you can get CECs on the workshops.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And the workshops are for every level. You don't have to be a teacher.
Yeah, you don't have to be a teacher. But
I just
if
created
you
a
need that
new
stuff,
workshop.
We're working that in.
Just created a new workshop for this tour. And the working title is Rolling with the Matt Homies. So Matt is in parentheses because it's all about the transitions. And I think it might be too cute. And so I told Meredith to fix it.
That's amazing.
But I really like it. It's a working title.
It is a working title. Well, anyway, go to opc.me/tour, opc.me/TOUR, and join us while we are on the road. We really do want to hang and also introduce our pups to you. They love meeting you too. So before we actually dive in here, I swear we are going to talk about Tia Levings, and we are going to talk about
But we have
her
a question.
Well, she said a word that I thought was really intriguing. She said she escaped.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that is something that is intriguing to you, stick around. We're going to talk about her. But first, we got this audience question. So Donna Lombardo on IG asked, hey, I just ordered a workshop from OPC, which is onlinepilatesclasses.com, and I would like to do the teaser, but I'm having a hard time finding the correct place on my sits bones to do the teaser. Where should I start?
Yeah. So Donna, you should really focus on your rolling like a ball because the teaser is the same position on the sits bones. It's actually behind the sits bones as you're rolling like a ball. And in fact, you can roll like a ball and land in a teaser. And if you can't, if you lose your legs or you fall back or it just looks like cockapoo-shishi is what Jake Grimes would say, cockapoo-shishi. So it looks like that.
That is what he used to say.
He used to say that a lot of times to me. Then you're in the wrong spot. And also you're not ready for it yet. So rolling like a ball is your friend. Double leg stretch is your friend because it's going to help you learn how to reach your arms and legs away from your center. And I also would recommend your single leg kick and double leg kick on the mat because it's going to stretch your hip flexors out and create more strength in your hamstrings and your butt. Basically, the rest of the mat is going to be your friend. And anything that seems harder than teaser or as hard as teaser, you're just going to pull out. So if you have the flashcard deck, you'll just pull out all the ones that look like a teaser and are towards the end. Pull them out. You're not ready for them yet. And then also, you better love your roll up. And if your legs are coming up in your roll up or you come up like a vampire.
Critical.
And if you're an OPC member, then you can actually show me what your version of teaser is. And I can, and the other teachers can provide some support around how close you are, how far away you are. Sometimes we're just talking about a different exercise altogether. So maybe this is not even what you're asking for. It's the best way for us to give personalized and tailored feedback because I can't give you more than this without seeing you.
Yeah.
And so it's general. But if I saw you and I could see, oh, the reason why you can't find the spot in your sits bones is because your lower back is tight. That's a whole different thing versus, oh, your core is weak, right? Or it's both. Ooh. Anyways, so go to online Pilates. Where should they go? opc.me/40. opc.me/40 will get you 40 days of OPC for $40. And during that time, you can submit a video of you doing the teaser.
Yeah, come join us.
Send your questions in. I love answering them.
Yeah.
We don't have to be Pilates questions or business questions. They could be life questions.
They could be
Brad
life
and I
questions.
have great advice.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
It's true. Just text us at 310-905-5534 or hit us up on the Instagram or leave a YouTube comment or whatever. Just reach out. We'll pretty much get it all.
Yeah, we find it.
Great question, Donna. Thanks for asking that. Stick around. We are going to dig into Tia Levings and how she escaped from Christian fundamentalism when we get back. Okay, welcome back. Now let's talk about Tia Levings. Tia Levings is a New York Times bestselling author of A Well-Trained Wife. It is her memoir of escaping from Christian patriarchy and fundamentalism. Tia is dedicated to shedding light on the impacts of religious fundamentalism and helping others break free from it and its political agenda through her social media platform and her books. She's actually writing another book right now on how once she escaped, how did she change? Because it took her 10 years.
I know. And I think it's so good for the people it's a special book for people who've gone through that. And
yeah, it took her 10 years to be able to even share her story.
Yeah.
Like, it was fascinating. She said that she
tried to write it in different ways.
Yeah, she wrote it as a novel first, and then she wrote it under a different name, and she said it was all wrong. And then finally, through many years of therapy and life and raising kids and stuff, she was like, I got to tell it as me.
I don't remember if it was in our interview, but I listened to her on an interview where she said she has healed so much from it when she did her audio of her own book. She was able to do it. It did not affect her in that way. But the people in the sound booth were hearing it for the first time, and they were in tears.
Wow.
Because it's dark. It's really intense, you guys.
I mean, why don't you give us just like a little bit of a synopsis of what this book is, a well-trained wife, and like what her background is here? Because I think that will be impactful.
Her parents were not super religious. And I wanted to say, before I get into this, some of you are going to say not all Christians, just like someone posts something like not all men. Guess what? Then stand the fuck up and say, hey, I'm not like that. And that's wrong. You got to call this stuff out. Otherwise, you get lumped into it. So I'm just going to say that because you're correct. It's not all Christians. This is a special type of it. However,
she mentioned that, in fact, on the interview, and she said, yeah, story of my life, that it's not all Christians. But somehow I was involved in this. Like,
she was involved in but she was also involved in multiple churches. So here's the other thing. So she wasn't raised in a church in her early childhood, but they moved to Florida. And her parents joined a church, one of those big mega churches, because it was like something to make friends. I know a lot of my friends are like, oh, I think I'm going to go to the church. My kids have this moral upbringing.
Sure.
The problem is when she went there, the way that she interpreted the rapture is like she was going to be left behind. And so she had this, we talked about this with her sister, where she was in her life and the way that she was born into this world. She took it as truly real. And she had such a fear that she was going to be left behind and someone was going to die and all these things. And so she was having stomach ache, but she just kept forcing herself to go. And then also all of her friends were like, oh, you shouldn't date. It's going to break your heart. And by the way, my parents were never this strict, but they definitely dabbled in like, oh, there's some Christian churches, they pick the husbands for them. And I'm like, that's an arranged marriage. That's not okay with me. But this happens more than you think. Yeah. So anyways, she marries a man who is not awesome. But she is marrying a Christian man and she's doing the thing that she's supposed to do because the church told her to her job is to make babies.
And he's very controlling.
And he's very abusive. And when she talks about the abuse she has, it is when they go from different church to different church, that abuse turns into wife spanking. They literally call it that. It is. So it's basically a different word for abuse. You're abusing your wife. And as they switch from church to church, they go into a Calvinist church, which is super dark. And they believe the kids are born with sin. And so anyways, there is a time when another wife kind of like breaks the fourth wall and is like, do not go off the grid, because they were about to switch churches and go or move towns, which would mean they would go to a different church, but in the same family.
This is after she was married, right? She's married. She's in this really bad relationship. And the guy's like, we're moving off the grid. We're getting out of here.
Yeah. So it slowly went that way after one church to the next church. And the more controlling the churches were, the more he actually did well. But she obviously was bearing the brunt of it. Her kids were bearing the brunt of it. There was abuse in the household. And you'll have to read the book to hear kind of why she left and how she left. Yeah. But it is, I hope they make a movie about it, because it is truly empowering for those women that you know who are, what people don't understand is coercive control and being abused doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly. And there's a lot to lose because you're isolated. And the more isolated you are, the harder it is. And the other thing is that you start to then feel embarrassed, because multiple times her parents were like, do you sure you want to do this? Do you sure you want to do this? And like, so
then you can't go back. You feel like you can't go back. And like,
yes. And she was afraid she'd lose her kids because she has no job, because the women in these religions do not have jobs. No. So they have no money. So they can't.
They have no agency.
They have no agency. You are correct.
They're like often not educated intentionally.
Yes.
They are just taught to conform and controlled.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she went for help multiple times, and the different churches that she went to didn't help her. So I think if you are listening to this and you're having a hard time that we are using the word Christian and you're like, that's not what I know.
That's not what I know.
That's not what he knew.
I mean, I grew up in a church. And my church was pretty conservative. It was like a very intellectual style church. And then I ended up going to a very, very conservative 1950 style Bible college.
Yeah.
where you weren't allowed to hold hand on campus unless you were engaged.
Yes.
It was some really, really crazy rules that didn't make any sense.
And that school is producing a lot of this.
Yeah, sure.
And
I mean, especially like the trad wife thing, or
yeah,
they used to jokingly call my school, the letters were LBC, like Bible, the bridal college. It was Bible college, but they used to call it bridal college.
I went to a Christian university, and everyone said, my dad said, do not go here for your MRS degree. It's too expensive. That's
right.
what my dad said to me.
Yeah.
So I was intentional in not dating and not getting married, but so many of my friends, that was what they wanted because that's what they had been raised with, and that's what they thought. And here's the thing: if that's what you want, there is nothing wrong with that. But where things get wrong is, and what she experienced is when there's abuse, when you are affecting children negatively, when you are in this control place, and then you are trying to then control those lives around you who do not live this way. That's where it goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just on their plot of land, living their purity life.
Yeah, I think that's actually the thing that's kind of insane. Is like Christianity, the way I experienced it and the way that I grew up, it was like, of course, there's missionaries and we're spreading the good news and all that kind of a thing. That's not what this, that's still part of it, but this is about control and about taking over.
I think Tia and I also talked about this. When I went to church, you didn't know how people voted in your church. No one talked about that. My high school church was pretty conservative. They didn't preach from the pulpit. It was obviously there were certain topics that people knew how people were voting, but Brene Brown said in one of her books, might have been Rising Strong or something about leaders. She said in the 70s, 70% of people lived in a community that voted differently than them. And today, 10 years ago, 70% of people lived where they voted the same. And so now the problem is that now because you live in an environment where everyone's voting similarly.
It's also very visible because of the internet.
Yes. Your fear of being kicked out of the community is so real because you want to belong.
That's right.
And so that is kind of what's happening.
I mean, we're a tribal species.
Of course. So, that's how
but
being able to tell stories and work together is kind of why we got here. We probably should talk about her talking points. Let me get into it.
I know. We definitely went down a tangent there. I appreciate you.
I really hope you all read her book. And if you want to listen to it on tape, it is a great listen. It is hard. I strongly encourage you, if you are like, this is not how I know church to be, then I also encourage you because it's important to know what other people are going through, because you also need to understand, why are they voting that way?
Yeah.
Why are they not scared about these things? Because that's how they're living and they want us all to live like it. So I think I asked her a question and her response was, that's faith. And I was like, oh my God. So be it till you see it as faith, guys. And one of the things that like blew my mind when I read her book is that you could be it till you see it in a way that affects you. But I had this revelation today.
I need you to expound on that. Be it till you see it in a way that
is negatively
affects you. So it is possible to do that.
Yeah.
Be it till you see it in a way that negatively affects you.
Here's what I have percolated on since this interview. And she said, you're supposed to become what they want you to be. So it's not being it till you see it. It's being it till they see it in you, until you're doing what they want. So it's still not a true be it, because you are conforming to what they want and you're being it till they see it. That's what it really is. You're doing all the things to get their approval, to stay in the community, or to not get beat by the husband, or it'd be terrible to get kicked out. She even talks about this time when she found this internet group, and then she almost got kicked out of that internet group because they were kind of like talking about things that were like not super purity, whatever their religion was at the time. So anyways, faith is how these things happen. You're having faith.
And you think we need to clarify that?
Well, why don't you?
Okay. So faith is the idea that you can become this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that this thing can happen for you down the road. What she's talking about there is that when you have a religious formula that promises rewards like prosperity or love or blessings or happiness, if you do X, Y, and Z, then why would you not want to do X, Y, and Z? Because you want to stay in the community, your family is there, your friends are there. And so, of course, that's the entire goal is then, okay, if I do this, then these other things will happen. And that will be this high level reward of prosperity and love. Yeah. I mean, there's a whole new offshoot of Christianity that is literally like all they talk about is making money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Minion Jesus. It's like a whole fucking thing. It's fascinating.
I know it's a bit much. It's a derogatory name, so please don't get mad at me. But the Moonies have broken up, and the second son of the Moonies guy, their whole Christianity is built on guns and the Second Amendment. And so he's the third coming of Christ or something like that. There is a lot of different ones out there, guys. But she said fear, rejection, and punishment drove her to fake it till I make it, to avoid hell, to avoid rejection and unhappiness, because this is what they promised her. They promised her, if you follow all these things, you will feel this way.
Yeah. No, well, not that you will feel this way, but that you will avoid these things.
Yeah. Some of us can think back into our youth to kind of go, oh man, when I was in my 20s, I was such a free spirit. I was such these things, to like kind of find themselves again, right?
Yeah.
She can't do that. She can't look at her 20-something self or her 30-something self and reflect back.
Enjoyed life more.
Right, because she actually had to grieve those parts of her past. That is gone. She doesn't get those back. She doesn't get those years back. She can't change that. So she had to have a new vision for who's Tia at 50. And that, you guys, is being until you see it. So if you are someone like Tia who had just such a childhood or such an event in your early youth, like adulthood, that you can't really use that time to figure out what did make me happy. Like I hate the question like, oh, were you super like this when you were a kid and that's why you're a Pilates instructor? No, I wasn't. She can't, being until you see it is like, who do I want to be? What could I be? And you have to see some of those things to believe those things. So she was not going to let them get her present or her future, because that was the only thing she had control over. And I find that so cool. Whether or not you had her life experience right now, you guys, you have the control over the present and the future. Like the choices you're going to make. Obviously, you don't have control of like what could happen in those things, but like what time do you want to wake up? Where do you want to go? What do you want to wear? What do you want to listen to? What are you putting in your ears? You have control of those things. So that is part of being it till you see it.
Here's what I really loved. And this is where I'm going to go a little bit into politics, y'all, which we don't do very often here on this pod. I'm sure you understand. If you're a longtime listener, you know us, you know where we stand. I want to talk about this here because this is a very scary concept. Okay. What you two were talking about was, what if our convicted felon of a candidate for the Republican Party, what if he gets into office? That's going to be really scary. But what if he doesn't get into office? What is actually going to happen? It's not like this movement is just going to go away. So how are they doing that? And what she did is she broke down how there's a bunch of conservative organizations who effectively banded together. There's over 100 of them, right? And they created this program called Project 2025. And before that, they were very connected to Jerry Falwell. And before Jerry Falwell came out and said, hey, we should be supporting Trump, the Republican Party was not interested in supporting Trump. They were like, we're not with this guy. He's a crazy person. But because of the religious fundamental movements that are really underpinning a lot of the decision making now in the Republican Party, they said, no, we got to get behind Trump. And what they did is they basically created someone who could be swapped out. So if it's not Trump, it could be somebody else. It doesn't matter.
Oh,
right?
offline,
So,
I got to show you a reel I just saw. I'll show it to you later.
yeah. So
Yes.
the point is that if he fails to be elected president, it doesn't mean that this movement goes away.
Right.
Okay. And so you two were then talking about, what do we do? And how do you move forward with this? And Tia said she chooses light. She chooses life. She chooses energy. She chooses progress. So she was specifically talking about voting. And she said the most important thing is that we have the right to vote and we can cast a vote. She was not in a place where she could vote.
No, she lived in this country and was not allowed to vote.
She was not allowed to vote. Okay. And so right now I'm wearing a hat it says VSA on it, VSA, which stands for Vote Save America. And it's an organization that we would encourage you to go check out. They help you volunteer, donate, or even run for office, or just understand, are you even a registered voter? They can help you through all those things. And they're an amazing organization, Vote Save America. Go check that out. But she said, if there's someone who is going to be putting policy in place that could restrict my vote, I'm voting for the other guy, because the other guy is going to be helping me be able to vote.
And I think that's really important, no matter how you label yourself in politics. In this particular upcoming election, and maybe the next one too, we need to be voting for the people who have the love and the light and the energy to provide more rights for people, not take them away.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to distill who am I voting for in every single, whether it's a judge or a local school board or whatever. It's like, who is wanting to support as many lives as possible and who wants to support less people?
She said something else, which I thought was really interesting. She's like, we as a society have moved through and past puritanical times. But that's what she was basically living under, right? Here in the United States today, right now. And the point is, this is still there. And the Christian nationalist movement, that is the fundamentalist movements that she was part of, could be lumped under that movement. They're still making decisions and they're still trying to expand and control, right? So when we are voting, we need to be voting people into power who are going to be protecting people, right? Not people into power who are going to be taking rights away.
And
from
voting
people.
for people who we might not agree with on everything, but we can argue with because we have
Yeah.
the right to. That is a right that is not shared in most countries, to be able to yell at your politician and go, you're not doing what I want.
Right.
That is a very special thing we have here. So Jane Fonda says you vote for the person you can argue with.
I was just thinking about her.
Yeah. So in Shakespearean times, when they wrote those plays, the Puritans were really big in power and they would control the theater, and certain plays would not be allowed on the stage, and no woman could write and no woman could act in them. Even though the characters were women, they had to be men dressed as women because it would have been too ridiculous outside of their religion. That's what it is. That's what's going on. You won't even have art. It doesn't exist. Anyways, we got to get to the beit action items.
Yeah. So she said, I choose to go forward. And she expressed support for political ideologies and groups that protect progress, even if she doesn't agree with them entirely. Okay. So, that is what we would put this in front of you and argue the same thing. I don't remember why or when it became this idea that we have to agree with our political candidates 100% of the time for us to vote for them. That is like only a new thing. That was never the case.
It was never.
Even 10 years ago,
I feel like my parents always bitched about whatever president was in office and they voted for him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And somehow we have this idea that like, oh, there's this one thing I don't agree with. Well, what about the other 99 things? Do you agree with those? So anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
We beat this in.
Yeah.
We're linking to everything. I'm sure we did it on the other episode on Project 2025. If you come at me and say, he said he's not with that, I'm going to tell you right now, he flew on the plane with him after he said that. He hung out with them after he said that. Do not come at me with that because it's called logic. And 200 people who were part of his office before were part of writing that. So
yeah, I mean, like a large part of his staff were the people who then went on to write Project 2025. So of course he's
Let's
aware.
get to some positive.
All right, let's move on. Stick around. We'll be right back. We're actually going to dig into the beit action items that we took away from Tia, where she had some incredible insight that's for each and every one of us. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Finally, let's talk about those beit action items. I'll get myself off my high horse here, and we'll talk about Tia Levings and the action items that she said during the interview last week or earlier this week. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Tia Levings? She said, hey, spend time with yourself.
She went on a freaking slow cruise to Europe.
By herself.
Yeah, it takes like 6 or 8 weeks.
That's pretty crazy.
I know.
That's kind of amazing.
And I was like, do I want to do that? I love being by myself. Do I want to be by myself that much? I don't know, but I agree with this. I love when you go out, I'm like, I have the whole place to myself. What am I going to do? It's such a good way to kind of like understand what you need and what's going on. I love it.
Yeah, she talked about just tuning out the noise, learning to sit in silence. I can tell you, I always find myself walking around listening to something. I'm always listening to something. Mm-hmm. It's very rare that I actually have just chill time. Mm-hmm. I'm always entertaining myself in some way. She pays attention to her nerves and bodily sensations, honoring them, even if she can't fully understand them or express them yet. So when you have a little bit of quiet time, that can be really powerful.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also kind of the only way to hear it. You had to hear it, All right. My biggest takeaway is kind of, like she had spend time with yourself. And then she said, spend a lot of time envisioning. She doesn't believe you can become something without intention unless you can see it. For her, she needs to be able to see it using practice like vision boarding and journaling to see the person she wants to become. So she's big on vision boarding, and she also has a win board. And I love that. You guys have to have 2 boards because you can put it over here. I'm like, oh, that is way too much fun. I think it's so cool.
I love the wins board because it allows you to remember if you're in the moment of beating yourself up, which we all go through, being able to turn around and see the wins board and be like, oh yeah, but I did do that and that happened and this happened.
I mean, you guys, cool. She practiced many times in the mirror being able to speak or smile like a normal person would, because she didn't spend a lot of time with people outside of her church. There's just different nuances to how life is.
She said she couldn't even be on the phone without stuttering the whole time.
And
she said being able to even do the interview that you two had is like a dramatic difference from where she was.
Yeah. And she's doing some great things. She's really worth following on Instagram. I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I really recommend this book. I recommend anyone who is doubtful that this stuff really exists. It does. And so reading other people's stories to me though, it's why I like books and I like travel. It allows you to see how other people are living. And one, recognize how much you do have. Two, you can learn a lot about what you want and don't want. And that is important. We take things for granted.
I was literally just going to say, I want you to know how much we appreciate you being here with us on this pod. And we genuinely care about you, your well-being, and your future.
So
we care about all of our future.
If you disagree with some of us on some of these points, that's okay because we still love you. Because just like we don't have to agree with 100% of the people we're voting for, we don't have to agree with everything that you are or say to still love you and still want to support you and your journey. Trust us, we've got family members who I'm a little bit like, we don't agree on these things, but I still love you and I still want the best for you. And we will constantly put out content here to support you and everything you want to be until you see it. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the epic team at Disenyo.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.